I'm Matt Bichard here at the La Quinta Resort and Club in Palm Springs, California for REITwise 2017, NAREIT's Law, Accounting, and Finance Conference. Joining me today is Jim Hanks, a partner with Venable. Jim, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here with you again, Matt. Thanks.
Now, we've seen an uptick in shareholder activism in the REIT space over the past year or so. What do you think is driving that activity?
Well, I think ISS has clearly had an impact, particularly with its most recent policy updates. We've been seeing for many years activism in the closed-end fund area, which is particularly susceptible to NAV analysis and comparisons. And I think increasingly we're seeing that analysts and others are purporting to be able to value REITs on the basis of the NAV of their underlying real estate. And that has surfaced a lot of information, some of it speculative, most of it's speculative, but I think in turn that has fueled activism.
Now, one specific issue that we've heard comes from shareholders demanding that REITs give up the board's right under Maryland law to exclusive power to amend its bylaws. What advice would you give to REITs that are facing this situation?
Wait and see. It's still very early in this issue. ISS updated its policy updates, its policy voting guidelines last November to say that it will recommend against members of the Nominating and Governance Committee of REITs who do not give up the concurrent right to amend the bylaws to the shareholders, which has a superficial appeal, but is really in our view, among my colleagues and me at Venable, a dangerous thing to do for a number of reasons. One is it's a one-way ratchet. Once you give up to the shareholders the right to amend the bylaws, it's forever because it then becomes a shareholder right. And to change that would almost surely require a shareholder vote, which would not be likely to be forthcoming. Second, we don't really know how this power is going to be used. Waiting and seeing gives us the opportunity to see how it's going to be used. It may be that it turns out to be the next new path for the activists to get in the face of management. Maybe not. We'll see. Third, people are referring to Delaware and saying, well, shareholders had the current right to amend the bylaws in Delaware for generations, so what's so harmful about it? Well, in fact, a large number of those Delaware corporations permit their shareholders to amend the bylaws, but only with a supermajority vote. ISS is saying that not only do boards of Maryland companies have to give up the concurrent right to amend the bylaws, indeed boards of all companies, but they are saying it's got to be done by a bare majority of the outstanding votes, which we think is a too low requirement, particularly for a changing group of people like shareholders who could be in yesterday, out tomorrow, to change a fundamental corporate document.
And lastly, other than what we've already touched on, what do you see as the main issue when it comes to best practices related to boards that you'd like to see REITs focus on in the coming year?
Continued and enhanced shareholder engagement. That is proving to be, I think, a very, very fruitful path for REITs and for all companies generally. Talk to your shareholders. And when you go and talk to them, do it with a full deck. Not just well-informed on this particular issue, like bylaws, where I am happy to say we are seeing a trend toward waiting and seeing. And I think that is in large part due to the fact that a lot of REITs who have been very sensitive to corporate governance have engaged with their shareholders.
Great. Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Matt.
For more from REITwise 2017, be sure to visit nareit.com.